Blessings, family. Thanks for joining us for another week of Art Talk with Aaron Maybin at the Sand Gallery. Today I'm joined by my brother, fellow artist, Mr. Ernest Shaw. How you doing, family?
I'm good.
Thank you for joining us, man.
Thanks for having me.
It's a real honor to have you in the building. And I was talking to my executive producer, a few weeks ago. I said, look, if we're really gonna do this show the way that we want to do it, like there's certain people that I have to get in here, and you're definitely one of those artists, somebody that I really look up to on the scene, and somebody that I really respect for the work that you put in, man. So tell the people a little bit about yourself, man. We're gonna do a deep dive, but I definitely want to get you a chance to introduce yourself.
Well, I just turned 49, so I'll make a long story.
Oh, wow. Congrats on that.
Born and raised in Baltimore, West Baltimore to be specific. Byproduct of Baltimore City Public Schools, Baltimore School for the Arts. Graduated in 1987. Went on to several different colleges. Started really University of Maryland College Park.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. I was there for several years. That's where I pledged fraternity. Did all the fun stuff.
Which fraternity, if you
Phi
don't mind
Beta
me
Sigma.
asking? Okay.
Yeah.
I ain't too mad at you. I'm Cap Alpha Psi over here, but I'll let y'all have it.
It's all paying hell.
Exactly.
Divine Nine. But then when I got serious about my education, I was at Morgan State. And at Morgan State University, in their fine art department, there was a professor named Angela Franklin at the time. I believe it was fall '92. And she taught rings around. As she said she was going to do. Learned a lot from her African Americans in art class, art history course. She exposed me to things I had yet been exposed to as far as art history and culture. And even though I was a skilled individual, I could draw, I could paint. I knew that going into Morgan, my work didn't have voice, didn't have purpose. So my experience at Morgan with some of those great professors, Guy Jones, Ken Royster, Eric Briscoe, who's a friend of mine, who later became one of my professors at Morgan. That was extended when I went to Howard graduate school. And between Morgan and Howard, those HBCU experiences, not only did they help my work develop, my aesthetic develop, my purpose as an artist develop, as a black artist, as an African American artist. They also taught me how to defend my work, how to defend choices that I made in subject matter, content, form, things like that. So I'm very grateful for my HBCU.
So I want to get into all that, but one of the things that I'm excited about right now is actually the fact that I did a deep dive on you, leading up to this point, online and everything. And I was like, man, there's a lot more of your story that I want to know. So let's go back to the beginning.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because even the fact that, you going to Baltimore School for the Arts, that's a lot different of an experience than most kids from Baltimore have. So talk about your childhood. What was grew up on the West Side, brother on the West Side to me, but where specifically, and what was your early childhood experience like?
Okay, so I had several people in my family who were artists and musicians.
Really?
I grew up in a household where my dad played percussion instruments. So I grew up in a household where we had claves, bongos, maracas. My uncle's a musician. In our bedroom, I shared the bedroom with two brothers and an uncle.
So how many people total in the house?
6 in a two-bedroom. Right off of Pennsylvania Avenue on Division Street.
Okay, right? I know what you're talking about.
It used to be I tore the building down last year. It was an apartment building called Carter Hall. I believe it was on Division at Lafayette, if I'm not mistaken. But it was 6 of us in a two-bedroom. When my grandmother passed, my uncle, who was much younger than my dad, came to live with us. And my uncle played piano, so we had an organ and a big amplifier all in the bedroom. My mother painted, so I literally used to sit at her feet and watch her paint. our apartment was the apartment. That's where people partied. Relatives came over. You know, my parents opened up their home to the community. One of the artists who just passed recently last year, Robert McLean, also known as Cocky, had an art exhibit in our living room. My parents gave him his first art exhibits because he used to live across the street.
Just move everything out the living room.
Yep.
We go and put some paintings.
So the first artwork I was exposed to was his work, and it was artwork of African people, literally from the continent, African women, African children. So I grew up looking at that.
What was that experience like? Cause I have some experiences similar, I guess, but living in Baltimore, that's just a very unique, you know what I mean, childhood experience. What were you aware of that at the time, that this wasn't typical, or was that just the reality that you grew up knowing?
So I wouldn't say I was aware of it per se. You're an educator. I'm an educator. So we know that many of our children aren't aware that they're poor, that they suffer, that they are considered at risk until they come into contact with people who expose them to those beliefs. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's the best way I can put that.
Yeah.
So once they come into contact with those people, then they begin to look at their reality differently. They're just living. They're unaware that they may live in a food desert. They just eat what's provided for them. They may be unaware that 30 years prior that their neighborhood will thrive in business districts. You know what I mean? They're just living. And it's not until they come into contact with people who provide them with data and some information that they change their reality and their perceptions of themselves.
So growing up in this kind of environment, did you naturally gravitate towards the art, or was it something that because you were surrounded by it so much, you just, naturally kind of pick up materials and start creating?
So I was lucky. After kindergarten, first grade, we recommended for, I think, the city's first GATE program, Gifted Talented Education, which was on the east side of Hartford Heights. And I began to get bused in, I believe it was 76 or 77. I would get bused across town to this school where you had children of all ethnicities, all socioeconomic status, different, walks of life, come together to study music, art, foreign language, science, social studies, all the subjects.
That sounds incredible.
So from second grade all the way up to, at that time it was junior high school, I was exposed to all the arts, right, and academics. So that was my first experience being taken out of my neighborhood, going into another part of town to be educated, separate from my peers.
Was that a little bit of a, was that ever a culture shock at all for you?
I wouldn't say it was culture shock. What it did was prepare me for my academic experience going forward. Because then I was familiar with Grove Park. It was a citywide school. And from there I went to BSA. So in the second grade, I'm being exposed to, I had fellow students from Mexico, students from different parts of the world, different parts of the city and state. And what it did was it allowed me to feel more comfortable. It allowed me, it gave me confidence.
So what was it like then, going to those schools? And you were going to like Roman Park, right? And spending your day there, in school, extracurricular activities, and then coming back home to the west side, and then being around, I'm guessing, your friends who didn't really have that kind of experience or context. What was that like? Was there a disconnect ever there, or was that something that you kind of just appreciated?
Well, we're talking about the 70s and 80s, right? So there was a slight disconnect. The disconnect wasn't probably as large as it could have been, because my father, my household was Where kids came from video games, video games is where we had cookouts almost every weekend in the summer. Sleepovers, my house was the house. So I still had that time to spend with my neighborhood. There was a slight disconnect. Because I began to notice how many exposed things my first residence stores. And it really came to fruition when I was at College Park. And a buddy of mine sent me. So he did time. He came to visit me. Uninvited. He just showed up with another friend and stayed for the weekend. And it changed his life. And we're still best friends to this day. I gave him a book, The Autobiography of Malcolm X, which was given to me by my cousin, which was given to him by my dad. When, he later returned it, but what that friend often reminds me is that he never even knew places like College Park existed. I was aware of that because since second grade, I had been on track to wind up in those spaces. Circle back, it helps me as an educator to see in my students who don't have those experiences. And it helps me develop curriculum and a practice where I understand one of my main jobs is to expose students to things they wouldn't have to do, to help broaden and widen their consciousness, their thinking. But the only time that distance between myself and my neighborhood friends really came to fruition, maybe some of my college friends would play basketball, or we would socialize differently. So then my friends began to see me the way I socialize might change slightly on campus in the neighborhood, simply because there were different things required.
Now, was that something that was celebrated at the time, or was that something that, kind of off-putting? I remember with my experience, you know what I mean? When people started seeing kind of that cold, that growth and understanding of the fact that I can't be that person that,
absolutely,
you knew growing up in this space that I'm moving in now.
So again, I'm 49, so my crack hit out the It hit, by this time we were living in HBCU.
Oh, so
it hit
at the center.
Yes, it hit it hard. So I had a group of friends that went that way, and I didn't. I literally sold drugs one day. I had one transaction with a friend of mine, another very close buddy. He said, "Come on, go for a walk," and I knew what that meant. And he walked me directly across Emerson Avenue to my cousin's house. I looked my aunt in the face, and I hauled-tailed back on the other side. Yeah, by the time I got there, she called the house.
You didn't know where he was taking you to?
We got closer and closer, and then I saw her come out the house.
Oh, this don't look good.
But it was a surreal experience because I didn't know her and my mother were more like sisters than cousins. I didn't know that she had by the time I walked in the house, she was on the phone with my mother, and I thought she was calling or my life choice. She wasn't. She was calling for me, and she wanted to let me know, and God rest her soul, that it was okay. Every time I never did it. It broke my heart, so I never participated in that behavior again. And I grew up with
if anything, was that something that kind of pushed you further in the direction? Like, how old were you at this point?
So at that time, again, my academic career was not a straight line, especially once I got to college. I had flunked out of Maryland. That
was going to be one of my next questions, because I understand that you started at Maryland and then we finished off at Morgan State and Howard. So that's obviously
with a bunch of schools in between. I flunked out of Maryland, and it wasn't because of lack of skill, lack of discipline.
Were you always majoring in the same thing?
I majored in advertising at Maryland, and that wasn't it. I was a fine arts major.
So what made you choose to try to go that route?
It was the typical, you need to major in something that can make it.
And even growing up, how you grew up exposed to so many people in the art world, it was something that where you were like, look, I gotta get this money.
Yeah, because, and you'll get a kick out of this. I wanted to be a football player, right? I wanted to, and look, I had only played Little League, and I played semi-pro. Didn't play high school. I went to school for us. I didn't play high school ball. Surely didn't play at Maryland.
Yeah.
But I had
that was actually the reason that I never even considered going to school for the arts. Like, if I would go there, I wouldn't be going to school.
That's some life.
You know
what I mean?
Something I wasn't.
Well, you, unlike me, you actually had talent. I mean, I was fast. You know, I had skills. I wasn't. But yeah, so
you're at Maryland.
I'm at Maryland.
Freshman year.
Freshman year. Actually,
advertising major.
I made it through Maryland for 2.5 years. There's no reason why I should have graduated. I stayed afloat for a long time.
And what was it? Was it just the idea of being away from home on your own?
No, I loved it. I loved every minute of it. It was simply a life. It was a life of that. Again, I grew up in a two-parent household. Both my parents had associates. Right? So I had seen folks walk across the stage. You know what I mean? There was standards and expectations that I did not live up to. That was never all of it. But I wouldn't change. Once I came home, I had to work. And I was a still. I was working 40 plus hours a week, swing shift. And I was at that point, I was third generation. My younger brother.
That's how it worked like that.
My dad raised us off Bethlehem Steel, and then later found out my grandfather was big and rich.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's Bethlehem. At some point, I'm gonna address that artistically. But Bethlehem Steel, for so many of our families, was both the gateway to us being able to migrate north, you know what I mean? It was one of the only places where a relatively uneducated and unskilled worker could go and literally through his own two hands and sweat on his brow, make enough to feed a family, keep a roof over their heads. You know what I mean? Like live a life of some dignity. And I think that the decline and ultimately the failure of Bethlehem Steel coincided directly with the crack epidemic and directly with the disenfranchisement and directly with the mass incarceration of our people. And you can't tell the narrative of Baltimore City without addressing Bethlehem Steel and how it affected the lives of us in our community. But I definitely think what you said though is important, because the idea of when you go away to college, I think that's half of the education process right there. The whole idea of the responsibility now all being on your shoulders. Nobody's gonna wake you up every morning and get you to school. Nobody's gonna check to make sure that you did this project. Nobody's gonna say, maybe you shouldn't go to this party. Or maybe you shouldn't go out on this date right now. You know, that's your responsibility. And I think that even when, you know, you hear stories of people going off and flunking out, or, you know what I mean, having a rude awakening, that is also a part of our growing up process. You know what I mean?
That's right.
And
Absolutely.
it teaches you a lot about life, having to go back and work at a Bethlehem Steel that make you say, like, maybe I should have took this a little bit more serious.
Absolutely. Because I continued working there while going to Morgan. I had actually professors that worked with me, understood I was a little older now.
How long was it before you went back? Like in between leaving Maryland and
I never stopped going to school. But I had to pay for it myself now.
Understood.
You know what I mean? Now, when I say never stopped going to school, I may have taken a semester off and then went back and then took a few classes here, it wasn't a straight shot. I was 31 when I graduated from college with my first degree.
That's amazing. So I definitely want to continue on this lane and dive a little bit deeper, but we got to pay some bills real quick. So stick with us, and when we get back, we'll continue our conversation with Ernest Shaw.
No 2 days are alike. So every day, you prepare. For yourself, for those you love, for whatever the day may bring. Being prepared is a part of who you are. But in the case of a disaster, preparation isn't always front of mind. In an emergency, when help and resources may not be available for days, being prepared is more important than ever. It's up to everyone to be informed about what types of emergencies might occur where you live or visit. Knowing the best responses for your personal circumstances is the key to maintaining your health, safety, and independence. Make a plan that covers where you'll go in an emergency and how a personal support network can assist you. Build a kit that contains the specific things you need to survive for several days: food and water, medication and supplies, as well as any important documents you may need. Being prepared is a part of who you are, and disaster preparation is no different. There's no one more capable of planning for your situation than you. Be informed, make a plan, build a kit, get involved. Ready.gov/myplan.
Welcome back. We're going to continue our conversation with Ernest Shaw. When we left off, we were discussing this idea of really the pathway to success, not necessarily always being a linear process. I think for a lot of artists, we end up taking so many different turns and curves and hitting so many roadblocks. And a lot of people end up getting hung up on the obstacles in their path rather than figuring out what it is that I need to do to continue to fight for what I believe is mine. You know what I mean? Because I do believe that anything that God is set for us is for us, you know?
Absolutely.
And obviously we have to be at a point where we're prepared, you know, to walk into that blessing. But whatever it is for us is still gonna be there. You know, we just have to be ready. So, you know, in talking about that, I wanted to dive in a little bit deeper into what some of those roadblocks and those obstacles in your path were, especially during the college years, because it seems like a lot of your development as an artist really took place during that time period when I do my research on it.
So what's interesting is developing as a young man in Baltimore, a young boy, from boyhood to manhood in Baltimore. One of the things I never wanted to be was different. Because
different in what sense? Like different from your peers, different from...
Because we talked earlier a little bit about that disconnect that can happen when you are educated outside of
right.
your you know what I mean, your neighborhood. I always fought to continue to be what some folks would consider normal, regular, just one of the guys. You know what I mean? I wore, and that's one of the things that changed when I went to college. Like my wardrobe changed slightly. You know what I mean? I might wear some Super Tims, which is what they wore in DC. And then I might throw on, or have a certain type of haircut, which is similar to what my friends from Brooklyn might wear. And then come back to Baltimore, and I might have some ripped jeans. Before ripped jeans was a thing.
Everybody
you know
looking at you like,
right, yep.
Man, what you want?
Yep. So, so as I began to develop, slowly, and it's a slow development, especially for black boys. As I developed into manhood, I slowly began to figure out, and this is one of the things Morgan helped me do tremendously, figure out who I am, what I am, and what my mission and vision as an artist needed to be relative to my community, not to me as an individual.
Okay, so while you were at Maryland, did you feel like an element of that was lacking? You know what I mean? Because I'm thinking about what you're saying. I'm thinking about this idea of when you're at Maryland, yes, you were loving it, yes, you were, you know, enjoying yourself and all that kind of stuff, but it doesn't seem like, from your personal account, you were being fed intellectually in the way that you were being fed at the HBCUs you attended.
Absolutely.
Do you think that was the defining factor, the fact that a lot of your education at HBCUs was more centered in this idea of what your self-identity was?
Absolutely.
We both went to both went to PWIs, but you had the HBCU experience as well, so I'm interested in that.
So we're talking mid-90s, early to mid-90s. You're talking about hip-hop is so-called in its golden age. A lot is going on in the mid-90s. So, and I became a father, which also changed my perspective.
So how old were you at this point when you had your first child?
My daughter was born in 96, so I was 25, just turned 26. Now I'm still an undergrad, working swing shift for definitely still. You know what I mean? So life is, still living with my parents at the time.
Oh, really?
So life is, you know what I mean, beginning to unfold because, and my first child was a girl. Once that happened, totally changed. Well, now you know what unconditional love is.
Exactly.
You know, and it changes you creatively.
That made me happy when my oldest was born and I had a daughter. I really felt as though it grew me up so much more because now, first of all, that unconditional love aspect, but then you think about, man, I really have to raise a young woman.
Because you were raised like that.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So, and now you know what it feels like to love a thing more than anything. And love a thing in a way
the same table we had.
You know what I mean? That's vulnerable. Man, I knew what it really felt like to be vulnerable. You know, and
That's deep.
Yeah.
Because I don't think, and that's really crazy. I'm not thinking about this until this point. But outside of childbirth, as black men, when do we ever give each other a pass to be that vulnerable? You know what I mean? That's probably the only space where no matter how hard the brothers that you with may be, you know, when you with your baby girl, you get a pass for pretty much anything. How amazing would it be if we could have that kind of show of vulnerability and love, and just a display of love and affection, you know, in other aspects of our life. But go ahead.
No.
I just think
because
like,
you're hitting
when
on
you
some
said
heavy
that
stuff.
was,
You know what I mean?
yeah, it touched me.
So yeah, now, during this time, I'm still doing it. But the art is a very slow trajectory. Very slow. I didn't really, I mean, even to today, if I'm being fully transparent, I still consider myself emerging art. Like, because they're levels. You know what I mean? We're going to use a friend of mine, for example, Amy Shaw.
Yes.
And how in the past 3.5, 4 years, her career has taken off. But she was grinding, she was on the grind.
Part of me hates that though. Because I haven't known her for an extremely long time, but I've known her before the blow up.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I'm so happy for her, but I was literally just saying this on last week's episode. I wish that people in this city were supporting her the way that they're supporting her now when she actually needed it, when she was on, you know what I mean, that come up, because she's, in my mind, no more influential now. Her work is no more dope than it's been for, you know what I mean?
For 10 years.
For years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, she's been a master of her craft.
That's right.
You know, but we live in this day and age where, you know, going viral and, you know, having a certain amount of eyes on your work is what dictates how successful it is, rather than the mastery of the craft itself.
Yeah, there's a book I'm reading called The Culture Game, written by, I believe he's Nigerian, Olu Ogwuife.
I gotta check that out.
And he does a very good job. it's almost as if Frantz Fanon wrote a book about art in the art world, the art market, art establishment, and what it's like being a person of color, specifically an African or African American artist. What they have to navigate in order to be quote unquote validated. So the reason why I say still emerging, because there's still things I want to achieve. I'm not even talking about finances. I've never chased money. All my friends and family will tell you, it's never been about money. I just wanted to create.
So if it's not, if it's never been about money, how do you navigate the space of making sure what you do is profitable while still staying authentic to your core values as an artist and what you believe the integrity of your work should be? You know, because I think that that's really important, because I say that a lot, but I think that oftentimes when younger artists hear older artists talking about it not being about the money, their retort is, but I still need to eat. You know what I mean? These art supplies are expensive. So I think that it's always good when somebody like yourself can talk about, you know, how you balance that, because that's a really important thing, I feel like, for artists who are trying to make work of substance and not just cater to what they think a demographic you want.
So, excellent question. So I have my daughter in 96, my son in 99. So I have miles to teach, I have people to support along with myself. So what you do is you get a job. I got a job teaching when I graduated from Maybin. High school, I got a job teaching high school. With that, and I was teaching art, so I'm still in my field.
So the teaching wasn't necessarily a move of that's where you wanted to go, but it's like, this is something that I can do that will be in the lane that I'm in, and I'll also be able to do something positive as far as influencing the mind of these kids in the process of being able to do what I want to do creatively.
I was teaching in Baltimore, luckily. I could walk to work. I was teaching black children. Black children that were from some of the same neighborhoods I was from. Some of them I was related to. I knew their parents. You know what I mean?
This is still mid-20s for you?
This is now we're talking about 2000.
Okay.
Late 20s. So what that job did was it gave me benefits. Gave me the still art-related. So intellectually, I was still dealing in art. And it kept me grounded within my community, making a contribution to the community. So it really served me well. And I had an opportunity to learn from some other master teachers and administrators what it means to be a teacher. It took me about 6 or 7 years to understand the craft. That it's a career, not a job.
What was the most difficult part of that transition, going from being a student to being the educator?
Recognizing that I couldn't be both a full-time artist and a full-time educator. Right?
Oh, wow.
Now,
you want to know something crazy? I said the same thing about football.
Right, okay.
Like,
Yeah.
you're going to have to pick one.
Yeah.
Like,
now, you can put full-time hours in both, but consciously, one is going to outweigh the other. So once I began to understand my role as an educator in the lives of these children, after about 7 years in, I said, okay, this is a career choice. I'm going to do this. Because I was only supposed to teach for 5 years.
that was your plan.
This is year 16, 17, right? But now I'm beginning to transition to full-time. I'm beginning to transition. So I'm doing some things differently from a business perspective. And that's why I say I consider myself emerging, because now I'm really beginning to put my name out there with different develop a digital portfolio, set myself up from a business perspective for life after teaching.
I hear you. So I think the first time that I was exposed to your work, I can't say exactly what year, but I remember it was when I was walking down the street and we were just leaving, getting a bite to eat. And I looked over and I saw a portrait of Malcolm X, James Baldwin, and I just stopped. You know what I mean? Like from the color scheme to everything. I'm like, yo, who did this? You know what I'm saying? Like I think I put something out there on my social media page. Like, who is it? Like, whose work is this? You know, and somebody responded with your name, so I looked up some of your stuff. And that was my exposure to you as an artist initially. And then it was kind of, I think, just nature of living in a small city and being in the same space. I would be confronted with your work in all of these different spaces that we had never met. You know what I mean? So I would consider myself to have been a fan for some time now. But really, my question, because it's rare that I see other artists that look at the role of African American art and artists the same way that I do. So I want you to talk a little bit about that. This whole idea of W.E.B. Du Bois influence on you as an artist, and the whole idea of this double consciousness that you highlight so eloquently.
So again, being raised by two parents in a socially and politically conscious household, having a lot of family support, wonderful teachers all the way up to the HBCU experience, Morgan and Howard specifically, and then going back and teaching at college for a little bit. What happens is, and I have some mentors who disagree. There's a difference between a painter and an artist. There's a difference between a musician and an artist, a dancer.
I agree with you.
You know, if I were to paint 1,000 paintings and just kept them, that could be very therapeutic to me. But the painting, it doesn't become art until it is viewed by an audience. And once that audience views it in some way, shape, or form, it doesn't have to be good. What makes it art is it has some type of transformative impact and influence on its audience. And then its audience gives feedback in some way, shape, or form to the artist. It's a cycle.
Right. My fear as an artist is never people hating my work and disliking it. My fear is going to be ridiculous.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? If you could just walk past a wall that has a piece of my artwork on it and not even have to sit and wrestle with it at all, then I failed as an artist.
Right.
I want you to love it. I want you to hate it. I want you to try to figure it out or admit that you don't understand it. But what I don't want is for you just to be able to see it and keep it moving. You know, and I think that there's so many artists out here, especially now living in this era of this digital space and all of these artists that are using all of these different mediums that have never been accessible before to create. You're seeing some amazing, groundbreaking work happening, but you're also seeing, in my mind, a bit of laziness in people's search of the mastery of their craft. You know, and the thing that I've always seen is I have to say, like, artists can be talented, right? Like, obviously, you know, we can be talented enough to say I can paint a portrait of you that looks just like you. But what's the point? You know what I mean? Why not just take a picture? You know what I'm saying? Why not? What's the actual work saying? You know what I mean? What is the message that your audience is supposed to infer? You know, 20, 30, 40, 50 years from now, you know, 1,000 years from now, when we dig up the remains of this society, how would that work illustrate and articulate what our lived experience here in this place was?
So one thing real quick, I was trained on how you speak. Always give him credit for that work. But, so, when we talk about I have a mentor who doesn't see it. They don't do it. But I don't believe in the term art. I don't believe in it. I do believe in creative people have the freedom, the privilege, if you will, to create whatever they want to create for whatever reason. But I don't believe in art for art's sake. I believe you can paint painting sake, or you can create ceramics, you know. for sculpt's sake, but what makes it art is its impact on other people. Same way there's no such thing as a self-made man or woman.
Absolutely.
Everybody is influenced.
Or when people talk about I come from nothing, I think that's a slap in the face to your parents. You know what I mean? Like
you stand on somebody's shoulders, even your ancestors that you've never met. Somewhere along the line, somebody didn't put it on your application. Somebody prayed for you. Regardless of your personal religion. I've had pray.
When things get bad, you want somebody.
So I don't knock folks who do art for art's sake. I'm not into knocking anybody's else. I don't do negative.
Yeah, but we all have our personal truth that we live by.
And I ride with Nina Simone. You know what I mean? Her perspective. Yep. Mary Baraka's belief in art. You have to make an impact, or why do it? Whatever that impact is.
Definitely. I think that the impact, we can never dictate what that is, right?
That's right.
I could set out to say something, you know what I mean, or to evoke a certain feeling or emotion from you. But there's no guarantee that when you see the finished product, that's going to be how you internalize it and how it manifests itself in your life. But our job is to create the space for the dialogue and the conversation. You know what I mean? I think that the actual space that we create with our work is what the real impact comes from. And we're gonna finish that off when we come back from this next break. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, we're gonna finish off our conversation with Ernest Shaw.
I'm 5'11", barely 5'4".
I weigh about 170 pounds.
Brown eyes. Blue eyes.
Brown hair.
Gray hair.
I'm a baseball fanatic.
I'm a wife.
A mom.
A sister.
And a grandfather.
I'm a bodybuilder.
I'm a research analyst.
Small business owner.
Teacher.
Dance fitness instructor.
Film and television actor.
I'm an office clerk.
I'm a copywriter.
I'm a veteran.
I have a prosthetic leg.
I have multiple sclerosis.
I have lupus.
Cerebral palsy.
Post-traumatic stress disorder.
I'm blind.
And I'm working in a job I love.
I love. Because I was given a chance.
Because I was given a chance.
To contribute my skills and talents.
To show my disability is only one part of who I am.
Who I am.
Who I am.
At work, it's what people can do that matters.
For more information, visit whatcanyoudocampaign.org.
I train with the best. A team that shares my drive and commitment. That's why I serve in the United States Coast Guard.
Maybe you were born ready. Find out at gocoastguard.com.
Welcome back, everybody. Once again, I'm Maybin sitting with Ernest Shaw. We're having a conversation about this art life, man, and it's really beautiful to be able to get your perspective on these things, man. I think that this is something that a lot of younger artists will really be able to learn some things from. It's very rare that we actually get to sit, you know what I mean, with our OGs and really build in this way, you know, so I definitely want to show my appreciation. But something that I really wonder a lot is, because this is just from my perspective, from my point of view, I don't think that there's ever been a time, at least since I've been alive, I was born in '88, that it's been cool to be an artist. You know what I mean? Where art is not necessarily something that makes you a outcast, but you know, people are being celebrated so much more now for their differences than they were when I was coming up. It was like, when I was coming up, if you didn't fit this cookie cutter, you know, ideal of what a black boy was supposed to be, you know, you were an outcast. You were, you know what I mean, somebody that didn't necessarily fit in or belong. But now I'm seeing so many youth, you know, that are truly able to explore who they are as artists and as people. you know, and you're seeing a lot of really dope artwork come from the younger generation. I always wonder how people in your position see that. Like, what your opinion is of the art community in the city of Baltimore right now, and some of the things that you see happening.
Well, one is the revelation that I am no longer young. So,
young is a state of mind,
right,
my brother.
Yeah, no, I feel you. But that sweet bird of youth has sung his last song. So, yeah, I don't consider myself old, but I know I'm not.
Yeah, you're not not one of the new kids on the block anymore.
So, but being an educator has helped kept me grounded. And it's helped, kept my ear to the ground, so that I kind of understand a little bit where the folks are coming from. But one of my mentors told me that we are, and there's some scholarship to support this, we are moving in a time that the Holy Feminine is beginning to regain power.
Say it one more time. The Holy Feminine.
Yes.
Sorry, explain.
Feminine energy. If you go back to the 60s, the song, this is the dawning of the age of Aquarius and all this stuff. So all that's really, in many indigenous traditions around the world, we're in transition. And masculinity, patriarchy, those things are beginning to be
I can feel that, with the Me Too movement. Absolutely. And a lot of, I have these conversations on a daily basis with a lot of the men and women in my circle about, look, the way we were raised, we can acknowledge at this point we were raised in patriarchal, systems, and, whether we want to be or not, we're a part of it. I don't think that was something that, like, my father's generation really had to reckon with the way that my generation is having to reckon with, and I think that's a positive.
Absolutely, and even the creative side of our thinking has been labeled feminine, not effeminate, but feminine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, if you're talking about creative people, it would make sense that there's now an awakening. People are more concerned about feelings, emotions,
and intent. Because it's
I
think for me, I'm more concerned about intent. Because I'm not always going to say the right thing. You know what I mean? When you're raised, I'm 30 years old right now. When you spend 30 years of your life, the beneficiary of a system of patriarchy that benefits you as a black man, you know what I mean? Or as a man, period, it's gonna be hard just to erase that as soon as you understand from a woman telling you that, certain ways of thinking of yours is a problem. But I think that now that we're in this age now of the Me Too movement, of women really being able to assert themselves in certain spaces in ways that they haven't before, and really in situations where men are having to check our bias and things that we have probably normalized over a lifetime. It's a constant learning experience, and it's not like you're gonna get it right, overnight. But I think that if we can get to a point where we can tell that our intent is matching where our heart should be, that we're not saying anything from a standpoint of trying to offend and trying to put down. And when somebody checks you on something and says, look, I find this offensive, or look, this doesn't make me feel the way that you're intending to make me feel, it's our responsibility to do better. Once we know better, it's our responsibility to do better.
I was blessed to have been raised by mostly men. My mother was there, some beautiful women in my family, my grandmother, aunts, and so forth. But I was raised by mostly black men. And when I say men, I mean men of all types. Different sexual orientations, creatives, all of that, right? And it's still a transition for me. This time is a transition for me. I'm working on changing my language. I'm working on my relationship with my daughter. You know what I mean? Specifically watching her grow into womanhood. So
it's even hard for me with my son too. There's certain things where as I realize certain certain issues that I may have or that may have developed in me, you know, from my upbringing and all that kind of stuff. You don't want to hand certain trauma and certain, you know what I mean, biases and certain things down to your children. So it's caused me to do a lot more reflecting, a lot more self-evaluation, a lot more of asking the people in my village to hold me accountable on certain things so that I don't hand that down to my daughters or to my sons.
I practiced and studied traditional African culture, specifically West African drum and dance for over 20 years. So I've been lucky to meet some wonderful people. And there's a network of women in that community who hold brothers together.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So I'm blessed to have gone through that. I'm in my way backstage at the performance.
Really?
So, yeah, if there's anything, going back to your initial question, that I would like to communicate to young artists, is to spend a lot of time with it, because that will lead you to your work. Right? I'm not one to say, oh, you got to do something every day. And that was advice I was given. Right.
If my heart isn't set out to do something, I'm not going to force myself and make a lackluster product. Now, there will be times where studying, exercises, little things like that. If I'm sitting at a restaurant, break out the napkin, and, you know, but I'm not going to rip the cover off a canvas and, you know what I mean? Like, sit down until I actually know what it is that I want to say.
Right. Absolutely. Again, feelings are becoming more prevalent. It's not overpowering your thinking, but you're more conscious of it.
I think that we're aware more of the responsibility that goes along with our platform, you know, and I think that society is kind of moving in a way now with like social media and just the social climate of where things are. You know, there is a larger accountability that that we've always had as African Americans, but when you talk about artists that see art the way that we see it, you know what I mean? Where you're trying to be a voice for people who typically are voiceless. You don't want to then also be marginalized.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like, and that was the biggest thing for me. It's like when I really started to come into an understanding of who I am and what kind of work I wanted to put out there, I was like, man, I can't be on my pro-black stuff. And then when it comes to women's issues, I'm silent. When it comes to the issues of the LGBT community, I'm silent.
Absolutely.
When it comes to the issues of domestic violence, abusers and things like that, I'm silent. Like, all of these things are symbiotically connected. Just like what's happening in America is connected to what's happening in Israel. We all need to be more understanding from a world perspective of where we are, because I think that, you know, when you take a step back, when you look back 20, 30, 40 years from now, we all want to be on the right side of history. I think that that's you know, I don't think anybody wants to be that guy or that, you know, that person that was fighting against the grain of something that, on the behalf of something that was negative. But we've normalized so many things that just should never have been normal. You know, we've lived through so many harsh realities that never should have taken place, that I think that we're kind of working backwards.
That's right.
You know, and trying to heal ourselves while at the same time trying to grow.
Absolutely. I mean, I would push back on that just a little bit. Only in this regard. Had those things not happened, we wouldn't be experiencing the awakening that we're experiencing now. You know what I mean? For example, I have very little regrets. I'm a person with little regret because, and I'll share this real quick, I know we don't have a lot of time. My son passed away in 2008, right, of cancer. He was 8 years old, born in 1999. But what I learned from that, and what my doctor helped me understand, is even in tragedy, you have to find honor in that tragedy. which has taken me 10 years to do. I learned so much from an 8-year-old child watching him go through his ordeal. One night he was awake and he had ultimately died of brain cancer and spinal cancer. The migraine headaches were so bad, he woke up screaming, called my name, I rushed to his bedside, and the first thing out of his mouth was, I'm sorry. Wow. From an 8-year-old, going through pain that I've never experienced, and he's apologizing that I have to experience my son. You know what I mean? Not thinking about himself.
Yeah.
Greatest life lessons I've ever learned. You know what I mean? So I would tell younger artists, stay humble, always try to maintain your integrity, and lead with compassion, and always try to seek deeper understanding. Put others first.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Wow, man.
Martin Luther King had a quote, and I don't want to mess it up, but I'm paraphrasing. It's about the work you do for others. You know what I mean? If you focus there, everything else, the universe will provide for you. You know?
I believe that. I believe that wholeheartedly. Because no matter how anything, no matter, even when things have hit the fan in my life, I've always had confidence that I would be good. And that might be, it might be far-fetched to some people. But it's like, look, I feel as though when you've sown so much good seed into the world and into the people around you, then there has to be some kind of fruit from that. And some seeds, when you plant a bamboo tree, it takes years. You know what I mean? It takes years from that thing to sprout. But the whole time the roots, you know what I mean, are growing, so it's strongly rooted. So I definitely, man, that's a gem. But I actually want to end off with this, because I know that a lot of younger artists would probably that are gonna watch this would probably say to themselves, especially when they heard you earlier talking about still seeing yourself as an emerging artist, like, well, what else? What else does he want? You know what I mean? All that kind of stuff. So why don't you talk a little bit about, in your eyes, what success looks like over the next few years for yourself? Like what you would like to see?
So I would like to be able to support myself comfortably simply from my artwork. So though I don't chase money, money is a necessity.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So I would like to be recognized and compensated in a way where maybe I don't need to teach. I may still want to teach.
But it's not a requirement.
It's not a requirement. And again, I teach in Baltimore City Public Schools. That's the trenches. There's not too many school systems in the country you can go and be tougher than Baltimore City.
Right.
You know that, right? So you do your time and then you keep it moving, because I gotta take care of it. Ernest has to take care of Ernest, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So I'm in a space now where professionally I would like to move toward supporting myself and my family from my work. And in order to do that, I can't be a full-time teacher.
I mean, you put years in on this thing. So to end off, is there anything that you have coming up that you want to tell the people about? Any exhibitions, any events, anything like that going on that people can come and support?
I'm working on an initiative called the Blackness, Manhood, and Masculinity Initiative with spoken word artist Kenneth Morrison.
Wow.
He goes by the name Kenneth Son. So we've been working on this for about a year now. We'll probably have our culminating event sometime in October or early November.
Where can people reach out to you and keep up with what you have going on? Website, social media information, anything like that?
Facebook, as I understand from the young folk, is on its way out. So I hear Instagram is the thing.
You gotta get over on IG, man.
@Shaw_art.
Beautiful, man. I want to thank you for the time. I want to thank you for the gems and the experience.
Thank you.
Definitely go out, follow this brother. He done already given you his handle, but definitely keep up with everything that he's doing and the amazing impact that he's having in the city of Baltimore. This is Art Talk with Aaron Maybin. We're at the Sand Gallery. Catch you next week.